Alpha Night and happy birthday! Today marks 6 years of our YouTube journey. I didn't really know what I wanted to do for this year because I am currently on vacation while this is being uploaded, so I couldn't stream. As you may have noticed from my previous videos, I've been building up to this reveal. Thanks to a YouTuber that I admire, I came up with this idea years ago, but I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. Thanks to Ginger Ninja OWO's video from 5 years ago that I watch regularly, I came up with the idea of drawing all the versions of myself supporting me. If you've been on my Instagram recently, you'll see that I presented 3 of the characters in this lineup along with Saki's updated speed paint, which I will not only put in the description but in the note here. All of these characters got a new design along with lore that I will most definitely be sharing. To start off, let's talk about Alpha Knight herself, the ever-evolving character of this whole journey. Now, if you've been here for a while, you probably already know that I talk about Alpha like she's a completely separate person. But truthfully, she is me and I'm her. We are one and the same, just split into different layers of identity. I started using my namesake for personal reasons. It gave me a way to separate who I am online from who I am with my family. It became a way to protect both sides of my life, not just for my safety, but for theirs too. Alpha isn't just a username or a character I draw, she's a lens, a way I've navigated my creative identity for years, and it's been so cool to see how much she's changed alongside me. Her very first design, oh boy, she had poorly drawn ears, a tail, and was always chewing on a lollipop. If younger me could see her now, she'd probably do a double take and say, "What happened?" But honestly, I'm proud of the changes. They reflect not only how far my art has come, but also how much I've grown as a person. Ironically, for a long time, I drew Canon Alpha, the in Minecraft universe version, way more than Artist Alpha. That shifted around 2021 when a certain SMP got really popular and made me rethink how characters interact across universes. It sparked the idea of having different versions of Alpha, each with their own roles and arcs. That's when Artist Alpha really came to life. Artist Alpha is the observer. She's not out there fighting battles or traveling through the worlds I build. She's the one floating above it all, sketchbook in hand, documenting everything. Every version of Alpha, every journey, every loss, every triumph, every weird little moment in between. Think of her like an overseer, not a god or a boss, but someone who quietly watches and records the lore. She doesn't interfere, not because she doesn't care, but because she respects their growth. She understands that each version of Alpha needs to find her own path. And when I say she floats, I mean that literally. I debated for so long whether she would wear shoes or not, and then I thought, nah, she transcends gravity and plot holes. Let her drift. Now, when I draw her, it's not just an art piece. It's like I'm documenting the story behind the scenes. She's the archivist of my creative universe. She holds all of it, all of the phases I've gone through, all of the changes I've made, all of the stories I'm still trying to tell. For her lore, Artist Alpha has always existed on the outskirts of the stories I create. She's quiet, but she's not passive. Her role is incredibly important. She's the historian of the Alpha multiverse. Each painting, sketch, or doodle I make of her other versions is like a snapshot, a record of something happening somewhere else in the Alphaverse, and only she gets to witness it all. She doesn't guide, she doesn't step in, she just remembers and preserves. Because these stories, even the messy and complete ones, deserve to be honored. And in a strange way, Artist Alpha helps me make peace with all of the different versions of myself. The ones who struggled, the ones who thrived, the ones that are still becoming something new. Now, before I wrap up this section, I wanted to make something clear. Chibi Chaos is not canon to Alpha's lore. It's a totally separate project I work on with my sisters. It's full of chaos, inside jokes, sibling energy, and zero timeline consequences. Artist Alpha isn't overseeing anything in there. Trust me, she'd probably be horrified. Chibi Chaos is just for fun. I love that I get to share that side of myself too. Something silly, something unfiltered, and shared with people I love. It's a break from the depth of Alpha's journey, and sometimes that balance is exactly what I need. Next on our roster is none other than Saki Hashira, a name that's been with this channel since the very beginning. Saki is one of the original 4 siblings I created, and honestly, she's been here longer than some of my real art foundations. She stood beside Alpha Knight as one of the first characters I ever gave a face, a purpose, and a story. Now, I know I've been promising to get the rest of her siblings, and I will. I already have plans for their redesign, story updates, and trust me, it's all happening. I just want to make sure I do it right so everything fits together when it's time to share their updated world. Let's rewind to her original backstory. Saki is one of the Children of Prophecy, which at the time was both the name of the group and the species. Cool sounding? Definitely. Fully thought out? Not even close. That's one of the biggest things I plan to revamp. Her species and its meaning and the story. I want to give it a deeper purpose, something mythic, something symbolic, something that reflects the new themes I'm working with now. Even the last name Hashira is under review. I love how it sounds and how it fits her, but thanks to a certain anime with a very dedicated fan base, it became a little recognizable. So I'm still debating whether to keep it or change it to something more original. Either way, the essence of Saki will stay. Saki and her siblings, Taro, Emiko, and Tadaki, are based on me and my real-life siblings. Taro, the eldest, the protector, Emiko, the smart one, Saki, the physically strongest, and Tadaki, their engineer. That was the original version, but like any good story, it evolves, and I'm letting it. Who they were isn't necessarily who they're going to stay, and I'm okay with that. Starting with Saki, she was always the strong one, and you can't see me doing the air quotation marks. I had made her the physically strongest of the 4, even though both of my actual brothers could bench press me into orbit if they wanted to. But hey, my universe, my rules. Saki was assigned the color purple, and I linked it to the concept of spirit. In my mind, she was someone who never gave up, the one who stood her ground no matter what. That idea still speaks to me, but when I look back at how I originally wrote her powers, they don't really support that theme the way that I thought they did. That's something I've realized a lot over the years. My characters started out with these strong emotional cores, but the world around them didn't always match. Saki had the spirit, but her abilities and weapon didn't reflect it in a meaningful way. Let's talk about that weapon really quick. I named it Sympathy because she felt it for her enemies. Back then, I thought that was profound, the idea of a warrior who understands the pain of the people she's fighting. But now, it feels more like a cool concept than something that actually fits Saki's personality, or at least not how I see her now. The truth is, Saki deserves a more fully realized identity, not just as the strong one, but as someone with layered motivations, values, and conflicts. She's been part of my creative universe for so long that I owe it to her and to myself to rebuild her with the care and depth she deserves. What's essentially important about Saki is that aside from Alpha herself, she was the first face I gave to all the chaotic, ever-expanding scenarios playing in my head. She was the spark, the one that led me to imagine new characters, wild plot lines, and a world that kept growing the more I leaned into it. Once I had her, I couldn't stop. I kept building, drawing, designing, more siblings, more story, more lore. But somewhere along the way, the story started slipping out of focus. The characters kept evolving, but the structure didn't follow, and eventually, it just kind of stalled out. But I'm ready to fix that. I'm going to start over with their base designs, their personalities, their purpose, their place in the world. I'll take my time figuring out who they are before rushing into powers and weapons. And once they're rebuilt from the ground up, I'll give them the spotlight they've always deserved. Because this time, I'm not just creating characters, I'm telling a story I actually want to finish. Next up is a version of Alpha that holds a very special place in the timeline. Canon Alpha. She came to life in 2021 during that wild creative wave where I was absolutely hooked on the Dream SMP. The emotional depth, the blurred lines between character and creator, I want to explore something similar in my own world. Canon Alpha was my way of separating Alpha the artist from Alpha in the lore. A version of her with a story, a past, and stakes. She first appeared in my Christmas Where I've Been video, where I briefly explained her design. Her early lore was simple but intriguing. A direwolf descended from Fenrir, banished to the world of Sileo as punishment. Then, in my 2022 Christmas stream, she was hunted by the Skulk Knight, a guardian of balance. Her very presence in that world was a threat, and that was all I had at the time. I left her as a mystery, but after her redesign, I knew I needed to give her more. In truth, her story starts long before Sileo. She was born into a clan of Fenrir's descendants, myth-wrought beings with monstrous strength. Her people believed their powers were both a blessing and a curse, one that had to be suppressed through rigid doctrine. From birth, Alpha's instincts clashed with what she was taught. She believed that Fenrir wasn't a monster, but a being condemned by fear and prophecy. When she refused the binding vow, an oath meant to muzzle her powers and emotions, she was exiled and branded as a Rithvarg, or oath ripper, from Rifa, meaning to rip, and Varg, meaning wolf or outlaw. A title of shame, a warning sung by priests and warseers, one who walked the path of ruin. She was stripped of her name, her pack, and her birthright. Now, she just goes by Alpha, not by inheritance, but as defiance, a title once held by her clan's greatest leaders. If you follow me on Instagram, you've probably seen the line art post I shared of Canon Alpha and 2 other characters. That piece helped me reflect on how far she's come in both look and meaning. In my first GB Chaos video, I explained the basics of her design. Canon Alpha had a ponytail instead of the headphones, her Letterman jacket became a vest, and her boots, oh boy. I designed them 3 different times in 4 years. I just couldn't get them consistent. I kept making designs that were difficult to replicate. Until now. I kept a few staples, the hoodie, gloves, and rolled up sleeves, now on her undershirt instead of her jacket. But I knew I had to remove the Letterman. It tied too closely to Artist Alpha. Instead, I gave her a chest plate, drawn from armor references I collected from an old project. It gave her a sharper, stronger silhouette, something symbolic and protective, something hers. Canon Alpha truly came to life during my In Victory video, another birthday project. Sadly, it was taken down for copyright reasons, but while making the thumbnail, I had a moment of clarity. She wasn't just a lore filler anymore. She stood for something. She's the embodiment of exile, of being punished for disobedience, of being hunted simply for existing, and still choosing to fight. That's why she matters. She's the part of me that refuses to shrink, to be silenced, or to be molded into something she's not. She's no longer just the SMP inspired Alpha. She's her own story. Alrighty, on to the next. Meet my fae, Zephyra Moonrend. You might remember her by her original name, Azor. She was first created for a Minecraft server I hosted and streamed called Axagarth. It was a medieval Minecraft world I built just to play with friends for Christmas in 2023, but like many good servers, it quietly faded when I became the only one logging on. Eventually I shut it down, but Azor stayed with me. She was originally meant to be a water mage, but after diving into the mod pack, I discovered the wizards mod and completely fell in love with its arcane magic system. It inspired a whole new take on her character, one that's way more aligned with her current identity. For her redesign, I originally tried to avoid using purple because I use purple in like everything, but eventually I just said forget it, all of the purple, and it worked. Her wings were another major change. The first version made them stiff, but I wanted something more natural and fairy-like, inspired by the foldable wings from Tinkerbell. So now they fold softly when she rests, blending into her graceful frame. In terms of combat, she was supposed to be a dual wielder, but after exploring the mod pack's arsenal, I decided to make her a master of blades instead. She's not just good with one weapon, she adapts to any blade. Elegant rapiers, twin daggers, great swords, you name it. For her boots, they stayed the same, along with the gloves with ribbon fastenings. Some designs just don't change. As for her markings, I originally made them water-based tattoos, but with the redesign, I centered on a glowing 4-pointed star with crescent moons trailing down her back. In combat, they pulse brighter the more power she channels, a beautiful magical rhythm to her movement. For her lore, Zephyra is a fae of old, a being who has walked the world for centuries. She was born in the Verdant Spires, a region of the Fae realm where the stars hang just above the treetops. Her early life was spent in joy, exploration, and study, learning from druids, astrologers, and sword dancers alike. Unlike many Fae who served the seelie or unseelie courts, Zephyra chose a rarer path. She rejected those extremes and became a warden of arcane equilibrium, devoted to maintaining magical balance in all realms. She serves the goddess Titania, the goddess of the moon and mother of all that is mythic. She travels across planes to mend broken ley lines, calm wild magic, and guide lost spirits. Among Fae, she is known for her quiet wisdom, serene presence, and unwavering neutrality. She is kind but firm, never cruel but unwilling to tolerate imbalance. Outside of her duties, she still enjoys the lighter things, riddles, stargazing, dancing. She was taught that her strength is never about dominion, only protection. Her height is around 3'5" with a small, agile build, but don't let that fool you. She's fast, sharp, and incredibly precise. Her combat style is compact and efficient, tailored to her smaller frame. She doesn't rely on brute strength because she doesn't need to. The core of her power comes from the Wizards mod, giving me the idea of the Codex Arcanum, a sentient spellbook bound to her soul. Think Black Clover, but Fae edition. The Codex floats at her side, glowing softly as she casts spells through runes and focusing her will. Combined with the spellblades and such mods, she's able to fuse her swordplay with magic. Her signature move, Spell-Infused Blade Arts, where she channels spell pages directly into her strikes. Every sword she carries serves a different purpose, from peaceful missions to full-on planar battles. Whether she's teaching a young mage or defending a sacred glade, she always fights with grace, intention, and balance. The final character, and honestly one of my personal favorites, is my Endarian, Sylixi. She's the one I've spent the most time on, especially when it comes to her lore. If you were part of the Minecraft community during 2021 to 2022 stretch, you might remember the Origins mod. It became super popular, largely thanks to the Dream SMP members. The mod let you choose a playable origin, essentially tying your Minecraft character to the traits of different mobs. Elytrians could fly, Merlins could breathe underwater, Blazeborn spawn in the nether, so and so. I chose Endarian partly because, well, it's purple, but also because there wasn't anything wolf-like at the time. The Endarian origin had teleportation, height, and mystery. It felt right. So I created a design, gave her a name, and didn't think much about it. But while I was redesigning Canon Alpha and Zephyra, I found myself pulling Sylixi back into the spotlight, and this time she wasn't just a redesign, she became something much bigger. When I started working on her design again, I wanted to be intentional, not just with colors or shapes, but with culture. At first her outfit was going to be something minimal, but then I started thinking about the Endermen themselves, tall, silent alien beings. That led to a surprising inspiration, James Cameron's Avatar. The Na'vi, like Endermen, are tall and graceful with distinct physical language, and their fashion, more about body adornment than fabric, made me rethink of how to dress Sylixi. I didn't dive too deep into Na'vi culture specifically, but it opened my mind to lean into skin-showing designs. layered jewelry, and textures that felt organic and ceremonial rather than modern. Sylixi's look now feels like it reflects her species and heritage, not just her role as a player character. That sense of mystery led me into Sylixi's lore, and to a world shaped by cosmic echoes and ancestral memory. The end isn't just a dimension, it's something beyond, a realm warped by silence, time, and gravity. To survive there, you just don't adapt, you become something else. Her people, the Enderalithe, are descendants of the Endwalkers, ancient explorers who ventured into the End Dimension and were transformed by it, warped by the void's strange pull. They evolved into something new over generations. Sylixi is one of them, born in a world not made for life, yet shaped by survival. Sylixi was born during a double eclipse, a rare celestial event considered both an omen and a prophecy. Among seers, her birth was said to have pierced the veil between silence and starfire. The veil is the invisible boundary between dimensions. It separates the physical world from higher realities, like the void or memory space, a kind of psychic archive of the end. Some beings are touched by the veil, marked by fate or power. A very rare few are born with what's called a star core, a glowing internal essence that links them to the veil directly. There have been others like her throughout history, but their stories are scarce, their abilities undocumented. Sylixi is one of few in their archives. She's the fifth and final child of House Elune, born in the cold stillness between dimensions, and the only of her siblings to carry a star core. Sylixi's star core gives her a connection to space, memory, and energy, but it's not without its complications. Her first ability, Flicker Step, is inherited from her Enderalithe ancestors. Teleportation. Like many her age, Sylixi can control her movement, but her speed makes it hard to precisely land where she wants. She may aim for the first floor and land on a tree branch or a rooftop or just behind you without meaning to. Her second gift is Starcore Pulse, a defensive mechanism triggered by strong emotion. When she's overwhelmed, her core flares. This can cause temporary rifts in her surroundings, illusions, object displacement, even slipping out of phase with reality. It's not just visual. Sometimes her voice echoes or her body flickers like starlight underwater. The final and most haunting gift is memory echoing. With this, Sylixi can touch runes, lost tools, even ancient stones, and hear the voices of the past. Not speech exactly, more like impressions. Echoes of fear, love, regret, even hope. She doesn't always know whose memories they are, only that she feels them, and sometimes they feel her back. But no part of her story matters more than the Rift Storm. These storms are rare and terrifying, the results of unpredictable tension between the void and memory space. They aren't regular, they aren't planned, sometimes they don't happen for thousands of years, but then one appears without warning. During a sacred memory walking ritual, Sylixi was meant to trace her lineage, to walk the paths of her ancestors and emerge wiser. But instead of memory space, she fell into a rift mark, a shattered point in the veil. She landed in the overworld, confused, disoriented, and alone. Her people unreachable, her dimension out of sync. The ritual failed, her trial incomplete. The life she knew, gone. And yet she survived, because surviving is what the Enderalithe do. There is so much more I want to explore about Sylixi, her culture, her role in Enderalithe society, the Endwalkers, her family, the different parts of the End inhabited by her people. But for now, I wanted to share the pieces of her story that mean the most to me. She began as a character in a modded Minecraft world. Now she's a myth wrapped in memory. She's the echo of people lost to time, and the heartbeat of a future still unfolding. This whole project has been so much fun, and honestly, this is one of the reasons why I became a YouTuber in the first place. I love sharing my stories here, being able to give these characters a spotlight and seeing how far they've come. It's been so surreal. Now I'll be real with you, this last part, the background design, was the hardest. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I was going in circles for hours trying to find a direction that felt right. Eventually, I had some help. I started by sectioning each character by color, and then later adding in custom images to give each one a more personal backdrop instead of just more purple. Don't get me wrong, the purple was nice. Since I'm not a background artist myself, I actually used ChatGPT to help generate images based on prompts I gave. For Zephyra, I went with something enchanted and mythical. For Canon Alpha, I asked for ruins with her netherite sword. Saki got a city rooftop with Japanese lanterns. For Sylixi, I wanted runes and an ominous altar. And for Artist Alpha, I imagined something cosmic and techie, kind of desolate moon point of view looking at Earth. It had clouds and auroras, and it was beautiful, even if it didn't fully make sense, but I'm not complaining, I promise. There was an even older image I considered using for Alpha's background, a music visualizer, kind of like their Spectre. It fit for a while, but in the end I changed it out. This project meant so much to me that I actually cried when I finished. Like, full-on tears, sniffling, confusing my family kind of crying. They were so concerned, but that's how proud I am of this, of these characters, of how far everything has come. I cannot wait to make more. If you want me to dive deeper into their lore, I'd be more than happy to post more. I'm not a professional story writer, my sister's actually the one who does that. But I had the ideas and used ChatGPT to bring them together. Let me tell you, my notes were a disaster. Bullet points, out of order paragraphs, literal walls of text that made zero sense outside of my head. The script was a dumpster fire at the start, and ChatGPT helped organize everything into something I could actually work with. No, this isn't sponsored, they just helped, and I'm grateful. Shout out to whoever coded this thing, you've got my thanks. That's all I've got for now. Happy birthday to Alpha Knight and to this channel. All these characters are my children. I'm so proud of what they've become. If you want to see more of my lore, I have older videos from the early days. I'll link those below. Go ahead and give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and share it with a friend who might enjoy this kind of chaotic creativity. The next episode of Chibi Chaos is coming soon, so if you're excited, hit the subscribe button. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you on our next siege. Bye-bye!